Tonight on KGW News, dozens of gunshots in North Portland hit homes, cars, and rattled neighbors.
It was honestly like living in the Wild West. I felt like I was part of a battlefield.
Also tonight, Intel announces what could be one of the largest layoffs in Oregon history. Plus, the 5 top candidates for Portland mayor weigh in on the big issues on the KGW debate stage. Quick show of hands here. Raise your hand if you think taxes taken as a whole are too high. That is everybody. And later, a father reacts when his 4-year-old is chased by an aggressive coyote.
Dad, this is a coyote.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, holy.
A very good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin at 11 with the debate for Portland mayor, hosted tonight by KGW and the Oregonian. This evening, the 5 top candidates answered questions about everything from leadership to public safety to taxes and our homeless crisis. Here is just a taste of their responses. Raise your hand if you believe the threat of jail time or time in jail is necessary as one strategy to compel some unsheltered people to accept shelter and seek services. Necessary as one strategy.
We have to enforce our codes without a doubt. There has to be that threat. We don't necessarily want to arrest someone, but we also are missing that very important link. We have to provide shelter first.
The acuity we see on our streets with untreated mental illness and addiction will lead to people dying if we don't have closely monitored medical intervention in our shelter system.
When asked about the county's Joint Office of Homeless Services, both Renee Gonzalez and Mingus Maps indicated the city should stop funding it.
The city hands over tens of millions of dollars to the county every year, but we have no benchmarks for what those dollars are going to be spent on. I think this is unacceptable.
With public safety, there was largely broad support for expanding the role of Portland Street Response.
We need the right responders in the right roles. And what that means is Portland Street Response, which is a very innovative approach, should be fully funded.
I would love to work with the police force and PSR to find how can we increase the utility to really relieve some of the burden on our police force.
And when it came to Portland's recovery, here's how candidates answered a question about reversing the exodus of people and businesses from the Rose City.
We have to be strong advocates for our taxpayers. Our tax burden is way too high because of Metro and Multnomah County taxes added in recent years. We cannot be number 1 or 2 in terms of total tax burden and be successful unless we are offering services to our taxpayers that are commensurate with that tax. And folks aren't seeing that value.
There are cities around the nation that are doing conversions and creating the permits in 2 months. They've added thousands of units in downtown. We haven't added any because of our credits that we're offering for businesses to move into our downtown are complex and difficult. We have to accelerate that.
We need an economic development approach that's beyond just Prosper Portland. We can't just delegate those kinds of responsibilities and roles to one agency. It needs to have a more comprehensive approach through the city. We need to be poised and aligned internally to optimize the landscape for businesses.
We need to focus in on the core problems and the core challenges here. On safety, I believe I can hire 100 cops by the end of my first year as mayor. Homelessness, those tents and needles we see on the streets is one of the reasons why folks are afraid to set down roots and grow a business there.
We have all these vacant buildings and the cost of living and running a business is too high. So yes, the taxes are too high, and these vacancies, we need office to housing conversions right away. I don't believe in insisting that workers come back downtown.
And one thing they all agreed on. So raise your hand if you think taxes taken as a whole are too high. That is everybody. That was unanimous right there. There's much more, including how the candidates answered questions around leadership, trust, and ethics, and what they think is the right size for a Rose City police force. If you missed it, it's on our YouTube page. Even better, stream it again on your schedule. Just download the KGW Plus app. It is available for free on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and on Apple TV. Developing tonight, Intel has announced plans to start laying off 1,300 employees in the Portland Metro, which could be one of the biggest job cuts in state history. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with the very latest. Alma?
Yeah, David, I'm told that these layoffs are impacting all teams and will impact all 4 campuses, 3 in Hillsborough and 1 in Aloha, starting in just a month.
On November 15th, a 14-day period of cutbacks begins for Intel employees in Washington County. They're getting either a 4-week or 60-day notice, according to a WARN notice posted Tuesday. In a statement Intel wrote as part of the broad-based cost savings plan we announced in August, we are making the hard but necessary decisions to reduce the size of our workforce. It goes on to call these the most difficult decisions they ever make, and that they're treating people with care and respect. Long term, they're hoping to become, quote, leaner, simpler, and more agile a company. Back in August, after reporting a $1.6 billion second quarter loss, CEO Pat Gelsinger said in a memo to staff the company plans to save $10 billion in 2025 by making these cuts. Cuts that follow a struggle to keep up with competitors, especially when it comes to incorporating AI into chips.
The Intel layoffs also come alongside an influx of money this year from the federal government to make semiconductors or chips here in Oregon. The Technology Association of Oregon, a nonprofit which supports tech companies throughout the state, told us they'll be focused on helping connect those recently laid off to networking opportunities locally. David?
Thanks, Alma. Appreciate that update. Let's talk about a change in the weather now in a day that quickly turned cool and wet in some spots, with much more on the way where that came from. Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino joining us with a look at a weather impact alert day coming up tomorrow. Matt?
Yeah, that's right, David. Mainly because this is the first significant rain of the fall. If we were to get this day, say in a month and a half from now, probably wouldn't call it a weather impact alert day, but the roads are going to be wet in the morning. And even this morning, we didn't get as much rain as we're going to get tomorrow morning. Traffic was impacted. The morning commute was slowed down by the rain and the wet road. So I expect the same thing tomorrow morning. You might want to allow a little extra time. I think that'll be the biggest impact of the rain that we're getting. Now, there's a break right now. It's cloudy, but we're not getting any rain at the moment. But we zoom out and see there is rain on the coast here. That'll be rolling inland as the next front arrives. And the rainfall forecast for Portland has ticked up a bit from our earlier forecast up to 6,100 of an inch. So again, fairly significant rainfall and exactly what we would expect to start getting more of this time of the year. So we'll call it a widespread beneficial rainfall, especially because it should really be the death knell to the Northwest fire season. That combined with the snow down to 4,000 feet by late tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. And there's a chance of a good downpour, even a thunderstorm tomorrow. So more on this wet, cool weather that's on the way, and when we'll go back to some sunny fall weather. David?
Right on schedule, but talk about a change. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, at least 50 shots were fired at Columbia Park in North Portland last night when authorities say people who had gathered there started shooting at each other. Police say one person was hit and suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Many neighbors told us they had to duck and cover.
We hit the ground, we crawled to the back of our house to get behind as many walls as possible, out to the back, sitting behind the washer and dryer, because thinking the bullets cannot penetrate 3 walls.
Wow, police say multiple guns were involved, including rifles and semi-automatic weapons. At least 5 homes were hit. No word on any arrests.
Justice for Melissa Dubé! Justice for Melissa Dubé!
Supporters of a Beaverton nurse allegedly murdered by a neighbor rallied in front of the Washington County Courthouse in Hillsborough today as the suspect went before a judge. Melissa Dubé went missing in September. Her neighbor, Bryce Schubert, is charged with murder. The circumstances around her death and where her body were found remain a mystery. Today's appearance was brief, with Schubert scheduled back in court sometime next month. And Portland Police Chief Bob Day is calling for a roughly 18% increase in the number of authorized sworn police officers over the coming years. Chief Day says the Bureau landed on that number by comparing the size of Portland's ranks per capita with cities like Seattle, Denver, and Sacramento, and found on average Portland is lagging behind. PPB, by the way, also has some 80 vacancies. Chief Day says the projected need is just over 1,000 sworn officers to better combat crime and to reduce reliance on overtime. You're watching KGW News. Still ahead at 11, the sticking points around the latest designs for a new I-5 bridge as Vancouver residents get a chance to share their concerns on the record. Plus, frightening moments for a father when a coyote runs after his young daughter. That video, that story, right after this.